Hi, everyone. Welcome back to We Talk News. This is the B Block. I'm Alaina Pinto. There is quite a battle going on in the state of Florida where their medical market is the largest in the country with 860,000 registered patients. Now, with 200 dispensaries, Trulieve dominates the medical market, and this fall, that state will vote on legalizing adult use. The Smart and Safe campaign in Florida is behind the passing of that question, but it is getting an annoying challenge from the governor, Ron DeSantis. Believe it or not, he is now supporting the unregulated products that are derived with legal hemp that measure 0.3% THC. However, when heated or flamed, that Delta 8 or 9 THC turns into THCA, a synthetic cannabinoid that gets users buzzed. 17 states have banned these products that are regularly sold in smoke shops, convenience stores, and gas stations. This practice has led to some policy conflict within the industry, even though both want more regulation and research of the same plant rather than having to rely on the federal government to come up with regulations on the plant and even CBD. This is something the FDA has ignored for 6 years since the 2018 Farm Bill. Politics are playing a big role in Arizona's cannabis industry too. Hot hemp and social equity licensing continue to be big issues in the Grand Canyon state. With more from Arizona, here's Karen Black.
I'm Karen Black from Greenfinger Consulting with the Arizona Cannabis Report for Weed Talk News. Arizona's social equity licensing program is back in the news with a scathing report about its failure hitting multiple media outlets. Critics claim the effort had the exact opposite effect of what voters intended, with only a handful of social equity license holders having retained an ownership stake in their licenses. Unfortunately, there's a lot of criticism and not a lot of proposed solutions. The state, at least at one time, was considering issuing additional social equity licenses since an effort to return initial licenses to original awardees, which never would have worked anyway, failed in the Arizona Senate earlier this year. On the hemp front, Executive Director Sully Sullivan recently published an op-ed on the Arizona Hemp Industry Trade Association's website calling for support for a bill that proposes a comprehensive state hemp regulatory framework. In the piece, Mr. Sullivan accuses national cannabis brands of racketeering and intentionally selling adult use products as hemp-derived THC. And he said they're doing it as they lobby against hemp regulation. He calls their efforts misguided and monopolistic and claims they stifle competition and undermine growth of the hemp industry. We'll continue to follow this ongoing fight and the fate of House Bill 2406, which is currently in the Arizona Senate for amendments. Here's some economic data from both sides of the industry. According to the Hemp Industry Trade Association, demand for hemp products in Arizona is just shy of 700 million. A post-regulated Arizona hemp market would create over 8,000 jobs, pay approximately $325 million in wages, and generate over $39 million in sales taxes. On the other side, May 2024 marijuana sales are estimated at just over 102 million, which represents a 1% decrease from April and is nearly 13% less than last year. That's this week's Arizona Cannabis Report. I'm Karen Black from Greenfinger Consulting reporting for Weed Talk News.
This is quickly becoming big business in Missouri, and local governments want a piece of the green pie. In Buchanan County, in the Show Me state, a second judge approved an extra 3% tax on adult use cannabis sales. This is in addition to what cities already charge. So now cannabis sales taxes are reaching a whopping 12%. So you can imagine some folks aren't exactly thrilled about that. St. Louis County had a similar ruling not too long ago, and there may be more on the horizon. Brandon Jones has more from the Show Me state.
Hey everybody, it's Brandon Jones with B Green Distribution with the Missouri Cannabis Report for Weed Talk News. And a little bit here that's going on a little bit different than other states is we have a new coalition that the state decided to put together. So they're going to have a maximum of 30 members. They're going to have a little board that is of different levels of experience of cannabis to help people with their questions and comments and how to go about navigating the field of the cannabis industry. The funny thing is, though, is to be one of the members, you have to either have ownership or a leadership position in a licensed cannabis facility. So I guess I'm trying to figure out how you're having all different types of people and all different levels if you have to be in a leadership or ownership role of a licensed facility. But hey, at least they're trying to help. So who knows where that's coming from or where it's going. But there's another coalition put on by the state here in Missouri to help people. It is obviously event season now. We're not having to wait anymore. The first huge event, we had KC Pride in downtown. There was lots of different vendors there, including cannabis, THCA vendors, and all sorts of vendors around there, just being able to consume in downtown Missouri, including agencies like the FBI, the fire department, and the police department were there as well. And cannabis consumption was going on freely and happening throughout the entire space. Another thing that's going on here is all of the different sales that are going on with the THCA stuff that we've talked about. So that still is allowed here in the state of Missouri at gas stations as well as different spots that you can get here. So that is still a booming industry here in Missouri. THCA is still a profitable thing going on here. And it is time to get down here for events next July. A Beg Here event to help veterans is called Agents of Valor. It's going to be huge over downtown Kansas City, and we'd love to have anybody out to help support veterans. I know a couple of people are actually giving away free genetics and stuff to veterans as long as you can show your military ID. So get out here to Missouri where it's recreational, it's fun, and it's beautiful weather. I'm Brandon Jones with Bee Green Distribution with the Missouri Cannabis Report for We Talk News. Stay medicated and educated. Have a great week.
There is more fallout over Illinois Congresswoman Mary Miller's 11th hour amendment to the House version of the Farm Bill for 2024. Lawmakers seek to close that THCA loophole that has turned into a new billion-dollar industry. 6 years later, lawmakers are recognizing they made a few mistakes by basically legalizing the cannabis plant by defining hemp as cannabis with a limit of 0.3% THC. Now, the DEA says there wasn't even a loophole to begin with. Crazy, right? As more and more states ban products with hemp-derived THC and pull them from shelves, Louisiana has taken a different approach. State lawmakers are proposing to increase restrictions on those products rather than ban them outright. One of the largest, if not the largest, hemp industry is in Texas. The Toke Agency's Lisa Williams has our Lone Star Cannabis report. Here she is.
I'm Lisa Williams, founder of the Toke Agency with the Texas Cannabis Report for We Talk News. Saddle up because we're in for a wild ride through the Lone Star State's hemp industry. This week, the Texas State Senate Affairs Committee found itself in a showdown over Delta 8 and Delta 9 products. Senator Charles Perry, the Lubbock Republican who championed the 2019 agricultural hemp legislation, looked like a cowboy who just realized his herd had turned into a stampede. The boom in Texas consumable hemp market, sprouting more retail spots than you could shake a stick at, over 7,000 to be exact, has lawmakers scrambling to wrangle the industry's rapid growth. Perry's initial legislation was meant to be a farmer-friendly move, but now he's feeling like he accidentally left the barn door wide open. I told these retailers, if you guys screw up by being cute and getting people high off this, there will be consequences, he said, channeling his inner disappointed dad. Well, folks, the hemp chickens have come to roost, and it's time to clean up this mess. The committee discussed tightening the reins on the industry, which has been galloping away with little regulation. Products like Delta 8 and Delta 9, which are found in everything from gummies to smokables, are currently skating on thin ice of legal ambiguity. The committee is considering stricter regulations, including age limits, child-proof packaging, and rigorous third-party testing. One colorful testimony came from Kyle Aurora of Texas Happy Club, who highlighted the economic benefits of the hemp industry. We have paid over $1 million in state taxes, and we are one small fish in a big pond, he said. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Concerns about heavy metals, pesticides, and the appeal of these products to young people were also brought to the table. In true Texas fashion, there was a broad consensus on the need for better standards and enforcements. Even those who might oppose outright bans on Delta products agreed that some regulation is necessary to keep the industry on the straight and narrow. So as Texas lawmakers gear up for their next session, they're poised to lasso this runaway market and implement much needed regulations. Whether they could find balance between supporting the booming hemp industry and ensuring public safety remains to be seen. I'm Lisa Williams, founder of the Toke Agency with the Texas Cannabis Report for Weed Talk News.
With more from Michigan, here's Amie Carter.
I'm Amie Carter from Michigan Weedsters with this week's Weed Talk News. In a surprising turn of events, Michigan has surpassed California in legal cannabis sales. According to new data from cannabis analytics firm BDSA, despite California's renowned reputation and larger population, Michigan emerged as a top-selling state in the U.S. with 22 million in cannabis products sold in March, compared to California's 21.3 million. This marks the first time another state has outsold California in legal cannabis products. The U.S. Department of Justice announced on Wednesday that Ryan Richmond, the owner of Relief Choices, LLC, a medical marijuana dispensary in Warren, has been handed a 24-month prison sentence for his involvement in tax evasion and obstructing an IRS investigation. The federal government has taken strict action against this Bloomfield Hills business operator. Michigan's Gems and Genetics kicked off this summer with an amazing event out at the Sarnes Campground in Morley, Michigan. The event included Mendo Dope, over 40 vendors, a light show, and a ton of awesome people having a great time. I'm Amie Carter with Michigan Weedsters for this week's Weed Talk News.
News out of Ohio continues to point towards the opening of adult use sales before the end of June. Attorney and consultant Harry Bernstein has more.
This is Harry Bernstein with Verdict Compliance Partners and the Ohio Cannabis Report for Weed Talk News. First up, Ohio is on the brink of a major milestone, the implementation of adult use cannabis sales. Applications are now open for adult use cannabis dispensary licensees, marking a significant step forward. Current medical cannabis dispensaries are gearing up to apply for the dual use licenses that would allow them to sell both medical and adult use cannabis. Companies are moving swiftly, hoping to welcome adult use customers by the end of July. While the law sets a deadline of September for license approvals, things seem to be moving ahead of schedule, so keep your eyes peeled for adult sales sooner rather than later. In the meantime, Ohioans can already enjoy some new freedoms under the law. Individuals can now legally grow up to 6 cannabis plants per person with a maximum of 12 per household. Personal use is also legal, allowing adults 21 and older to possess and use cannabis responsibly. Unfortunately, the path to full implementation isn't without its challenges. Governor DeWine is raising concerns about the unregulated hemp market, particularly THC derivatives, which are currently available with limited to no restrictions. The governor is pushing for stricter regulations to ensure these products are inaccessible to minors. He's also advocating for increased regulation of adult use cannabis to protect public spaces and to prevent exposure to children. Adding to the regulatory landscape, Senate Bill 278 has been introduced, which would modify the existing law by increasing taxes and creating additional regulations, including requiring home growers to register with the state. The bill's fate is uncertain, with only 2 remaining Senate sessions before the summer break. Advocates argue this bill could be an overreach, potentially conflicting with the spirit of Issue 2, which voters approved last November. Cannabis industry leaders continue to educate consumers regarding the laws and regulation, while emphasizing the importance of respecting others when using cannabis. As we navigate these exciting changes, stay tuned for more updates on Ohio's journey into the adult use cannabis market. The momentum is undeniable. Ohio is on its way to becoming a key player in the cannabis industry. That's the Ohio Cannabis Report for this week. I'm Harry Bernstein with Verde Compliance Partners reporting for Weed Talk News.
That will wrap up the B block, and we will wrap up this week's Weed Talk News in the C block here on our YouTube channel on Wednesday. Or you can go to procannabismedia.com right now and watch the entire show on demand. The C block is next.